Let's bring in Steve Forbes, Forbes Media Chairman. Always a pleasure, a delight, an honor
Good to be with you.
for you to be here. Because everybody, if you listen to any of the Democrats talk, it's been a horrible couple of months for Donald Trump. Well, worse for Clinton, potentially.
Well, that's why both their negatives are so high. When you get one bad story on Trump, there's another one on Hillary Clinton. And so what is really telling in these polls is the number of undecideds, huge. And also the support for third parties, whether it's the Libertarian Party or the Green Party. People are not happy with the top two. And so the question among Democrats is, of course, will Hillary Clinton end up being on top of the ticket? Even if she wins the nomination, if there's some bombshell that comes from FBI leaks even after the convention, the Democratic National Committee can meet and come up with a new nominee without the messiness of a convention.
How did the thing about with Clinton, and again, her husband gets on, the former president gets on the aircraft in Arizona of the attorney general who's overseeing the investigation into her private email server, and also the investigation into the Clinton Foundation, which is a separate issue. But again, at every turn, they do something to make people feel less comfortable with her, to make her feel like she's even less trustworthy. What planet are they living on? That's the conversation I've had repeatedly over the weekend with both Republicans and Democrats.
Well, clearly, Bill Clinton laid an ambush for the Attorney General. The question is why? Now, when they met with each other, he didn't have to say anything. Just his presence there reminds her how she got her start and everything else. And so the question is, why did he do it? Do they feel that things have gotten so out of hand with the FBI, they need to reinforce having a quash from the top? So the fact that President Obama is now having Hillary Clinton on Air Force One, sort of saying, see, I'm still with her. It all gets to the fact this investigation may be further along and more damaging than we know.
Then, Steve, why isn't Donald Trump leading in the USA Today poll? Why is he still behind Hillary Clinton? What is he doing wrong here?
Because people have doubts about him. And one of the things he has to reassure voters on when he makes his VP pick is, hey, you may not like him, you may think he's this, that, and the other thing, but we can take a chance on him. So this is going to be critical, and he's got to reassure doubters. His negatives are even higher than Hillary Clinton's. The good thing for Donald Trump is his negatives aren't frozen. Most of them aren't frozen the way they are for her.
Well, Steve, I want to come back to something you said at the outset. It sounds like you're saying that the DNC and the Democratic establishment is going to push Hillary Clinton aside. I mean, is that what you're saying? Do you think that the establishment will defy the Clintons?
Well, if the bombshell comes out, if you get some very damaging leaks, and the people can read polls. They can see even if he's a few points behind, they've seen with Brexit and everything else, polls don't really measure very much anymore. And these huge number of undecided, people don't want a third term with Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton's the proxy. They don't want a third term. They don't like what's happening with the world and the economy. So if she looks like she's really damaged goods, you're going to see a huge push to push her out for the sake of the nation, and Joe Biden will come to the rescue.
They're going to defy Bill and Hillary Clinton, who have been the bedrock of this party.
Bill and Hillary Clinton, she barely won the nomination against a curmudgeon socialist from Vermont, for crying out loud. And so that shows her weakness. Again, you look at the negatives. She's not a very strong candidate.
Well,
she's demonstrated
that's why Harlan supported. That's why Harlan supported Bernie Sanders as the anti-Hillary Clinton candidate.
And that's exactly. My support of Bernie Sanders was much more about never Hillary than it was about Bernie Sanders.
Exactly.
Really, my question is, how much does this FBI investigation really impact her? Because I'm looking at the amount of coverage, all of the issues Donald Trump has run into over the last 4 weeks, and the amount of coverage that Hillary Clinton's gotten for Benghazi, for the email server. And if you look beyond just the conservative media and you look at the mainstream liberal media and the big networks, she's really not getting much coverage at all of this, which is pretty extraordinary. So my question is, how much does this really impact her?
Well, you see, that's what they've been counting on. It's one thing for a media to run a story. The key that makes it damaging is repetition, hammering home day after day after day. They haven't really done that with her. And that's why the FBI thing is so important. If something leaks that is credible, or if there is an indictment, then there's no way they can quash the thing. It just crystallizes, solidifies all the doubts people have about it.
Over the weekend, though, the liberal media was like, nothing to see here. It's over. Move it on. This is behind Hillary Clinton. Every major network was reporting it.
The one thing that stood out to me is after the Bill Clinton boards Loretta Lynch's jet in Arizona, the headline in the New York Times was, President Clinton meets with Loretta Lynch, Republicans up in arms. It was something to that effect, that it was like the only people who are outraged or upset about it or think that it smells like a dumpster behind a seafood restaurant in the middle of summer are Republicans and conservatives. And that's absurd. That is absolutely absurd.
That's why I stick with McDonald's, but anyway. but again, this is where the FBI thing solidifies. That meeting on the plane was extremely damaging. He did not think that would become public. She was hoping it would not become public. It became public. That emboldens the FBI. This thing is now out of Loretta Lynch's hands, I think. And so if you get something out of the FBI, whether it's on the foundation, emails, or a combination of both, then it takes on, especially in this day of social media, it takes on a whole new dimension. Right now it's sort of out there, vague. This would crystallize it. And when it's crystallized, you're going to see she's got to fall on the sword for the sake of the party. And by golly, in politics, power is ephemeral. You're powerful today, tomorrow you're on the lecture circuit.
One last thing. In terms of Trump's VP, who would you pick for him?
He needs to pick somebody like Senator Portman of Ohio, somebody who is seen as experienced, calm, and show that he can put a team together that is not a clone of him. He's got to reassure, just as she's got to reassure somebody who's trustworthy, also show that she's not going to go off the rails as she seemed to do at times in the primaries. So both are critical for them.
Oh, who do you pick who's trustworthy?
Maybe she should pick Loretta Lynch. I don't know.
How about Trump? How far back do you go with him, and are you supporting him?
I'm supporting the Republican nominee. I've known Donald Trump for 30 years. We have fights every year about his wealth. We always
because of Forbes magazine.
Yeah, we've got our Forbes 400 list. We're always half of what he thinks it is, or less than half, and so we go through that joust each year. And so he's like we point out in the story. He tries to shape the world as he thinks it should be, like Steve Jobs. You just take the world. This is what I want it to be. I'm going to do everything to make it what I think it should be. And that can cut both ways. And what he's got to show voters is he's got the temperament to be president. Even though people have doubts about him, he's got to get them to the point where they say, okay, I can take a chance on him. I know her. I can take a chance on him. If he doesn't, who knows? And if Biden gets in the race, then you got a whole new kettle of fish.
Well, the prompter's been good for Donald Trump, we should say.
The what?
The prompter has been
He does okay on prompter.
Yeah.
Steve, great to see you.
Good to see you.